everyone else in Mr. Bennett. It's a very important position. But anyway, I'm sitting there one day, and I'm going through all of Mr. Bennett's appointments, and I'm being very careful about making sure that no one can come in and see Mr. Bennett, when all of a sudden, this big, huge guy walks in the door, and he's lumbering in, and I didn't see him on the schedule. And so I said, "Excuse me, sir, you know, what are you doing? You need to come check in." And he goes right past me into Mr. Bennett's office. I did not know what to do with myself.
Did you see what happened in Mr. Bennett's office?
Oh, you know, this was very scary. He goes into Mr. Bennett's office, and I'm watching this. My mouth must be hanging open or something. And he goes and he hands him a note, and he says, "This is the last time."
Hearsay.
Counsel?
Your Honor, this is not being offered for the truth of the matter, merely that it was said and the subsequent actions.
Counsel?
Your Honor, I believe they are offering it for the truth of the matter, as they're trying to establish possible alternatives, which would then go directly to the truth of the matter in this case.
Okay. I'll overrule the objection.
What did this man say to Mr. Bennett?
Well, he looks him right in the eye, and he gets really scary, and he says, "This is the last time my boss is going to warn you," and he hands him a note. And then he turns around and he walks out. I got chills.
Did you see this note?
Oh, yeah, actually, Mr. Bennett came right out into the office, and he handed it to me, and he said to file it, and to file a restraining order against Ron Victory.
And would you recognize this note if you saw it?
Well, sure, of course. It was a very scary day.
Let the record reflect I am showing opposing counsel has been marked for identification purposes as Defense Exhibit 1. Permission to approach the witness?
Yes.
Let the record reflect that I am showing the witness this thing. Sure. Do you recognize this?
Well, yes, I do.
And what is it?
This is the note that Mr. Bennett handed me right after that big scary man walked out of the office.
Is it a fair and accurate representation of that note?
Yes, it looks like it is.
At this time, Your Honor, I ask that Defense Exhibit 1 be moved into evidence.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
It'll be admitted.
Ms. Michaels, will you read the last paragraph of that letter? Aloud, please.
Well, sure. It says, "So allow me to be blunt. Cease and desist with this expose, or those near and dear to you won't be able to find your body."
And who signed that note?
Ronald Victory.
Now, I'd like to direct your attention to June 16th, 2008. What happened that night?
Well, I'll always remember that night. It was the last time I saw Mr. Bennett. I was sitting in the office, and I was going over all of his, things for the next day. He had 3 very important appointments on his schedule. And so he came out into the office, he was putting on his coat and getting ready to go home. And I reminded him, that he had these very important meetings coming up, and we had to meet to make sure that we were good to go in the morning. And he said, "Okay, I'll be there." And then he left, and I never saw him again.
So did Mr. Bennett come to his meetings the next morning?
No, he never showed up.
And was this common for Mr. Bennett to miss a meeting?
Oh, no. Mr. Bennett was always very dedicated to his work. It was one of the things I admired most about him. He hadn't ever missed a meeting before that I know of.
Did you know if he had any meetings on that night?
Yes, actually, he did. I put it in his planner for him.
And do you know where this meeting was?
Yes, it was down at the marina.
And who was he meeting?
Oh, he was supposed to be meeting Casey Maxwell on his boat.
And was Miss Owens, his other partner, supposed to be at that meeting?
Not that I knew of.
Was it common for Mr. Bennett to go to Casey Maxwell's boat?
No, of course not. Those two didn't get along at all. I mean, I never heard of them hanging out outside of work.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Cross-examination?
I'm sorry, Your Honor. Permission to publish the document to the bench?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Michaels, you testified that, for the most part, Bennett and Owens got along fairly well.
Oh, yes, that's what I saw.
But you did witness them arguing on at least one occasion.
Well, yes, it does come with the business.
And in the course of this argument, voices were raised, particularly by Owens.
Yes, it made me very uncomfortable. I don't like confrontation.
And they were arguing about the contents of a agreement with Dueling Lens Studio. Is that correct?
Yes.
And Ms. Owens wanted to take the agreement, and Mr. Bennett did not.
Objection, Your Honor. Speculation?
Counsel?
Your Honor, the witness has direct knowledge of this as she was present and had seen the memo.
Then if she's asking about what she heard about the argument, this would be hearsay and not speculation, Your Honor. I amend my objection.
Okay.
Your Honor, this is a statement by a party opponent.
It's a statement by Owens?
By Owens.
Okay.
Also
Counsel?
discussion.
She also included a statement by Mr. Bennett as well, and that would not be under that.
Well, the statements by Owens are clearly going to come in. Why would the statements by Bennett come in?
As Bennett is deceased, these statements are eligible to come in.
Counsel?
Your Honor, under 804, these statements would not be allowed to come in because they were not made in under sworn testimony or as a dying declaration.
Okay. Well argued. I'll sustain the objection as to what Bennett said, but what Owens said will be admitted as a party admission.
So you heard Owens raise his voice to Bennett.
Yes.
And during the course of this argument, a water cooler was knocked over,
Yes, that was my understanding.
and then you had to go in and clean up the water cooler.
Yes, that was a very unpleasant day. I really wasn't very happy about that, but I kept my mouth shut. I like to do my part for the company.
And this wasn't the only time that Bennett and Owens had a disagreement, was it?
Well, no.
They also disagreed about Alex Grace, is that correct?
Yes.
And Owens wanted Alex Grace in trifecta, is that right?
Yes.
Objection or speculation?
Counsel?
Your Honor, she has direct knowledge of this as she was present in the workplace for these discussions.
Your Honor, then the statement made by opposing counsel said that Jackie Owens wanted something done. She didn't ask if Jackie Owens said that she wanted something done.
Yeah. I'll sustain. Counsel, could you just clarify how she knows what Jackie Owens wanted?
You witnessed discussions between Bennett and Owens in which Owens was supportive of the dueling of Alex Grace joining the company. Is that correct?
Oh, yes. I was often by Mr. Bennett's side during the workday, making sure that I knew what was going on.
So you had an awareness of the fact that Owens supported this?
Yes, I knew a lot of what went on at Trifecta Entertainment. I was, kind of instrumental behind the scenes, if you know what I mean.
Speaking of what you knew went on, you were also you also had a conversation with Owens in which Owens mentioned his gambling debt. Is that correct?
Yes, actually.
You saw that Owens' tires had been slashed,
Oh, yes, I was horrified for Jack.
and you were concerned that Jackie might have money problems.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And did Owens explain to you the nature of these money problems?
A little bit, yeah.
What did he say? And he told you that he had some big debts to pay and that he had gotten in with some of the wrong sorts of people. Is that correct?
Well, yeah, it seemed like a very scary situation.
No further questions.
Any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Michaels, you can step down. Defense of any other witnesses?
Your Honor, we're going to call Adrian Malone.
Ms. Malone?
Ms. Malone, will you please introduce yourself to the court?
My name is Adrian Malone, Malone.
And what do you do, Ms. Malone?
I'm a car dealer.
And how did you get into the auto industry?
Well, I got my degree in business administration from Wake Forest University. And then I came into Midlands. I started right at the bottom, but I worked my way up real fast because I'm really good at selling stuff. And now I own my own auto business. It's called The Collection. We sell high-end cars.
Okay. Have you ever had any problems with this business?
Yeah, a couple years back, ran into a little bit of trouble with the law.
Just, do you remember when this was?
2000.
Okay.
I ran into a little bit of trouble with the law. And, so they, a couple of my cars had gotten stolen. They discovered that I had some knowledge of this, so I was charged with insurance fraud.
Okay. Let's see. What kind of cars do you sell?
High-end luxury cars, your Ferraris, your Maseratis, your Jaguars.
Do you know a lot about, let's say, the Maserati?
Definitely, it's one of the most popular ones because of the luxury cars, it's slightly cheaper.
Okay. What color do the Maserati usually are they sold?
Well, they come in burgundy, navy, ebony, and charcoal. These are the four most popular colors.
And are these colors difficult to discern at night?
Oh yeah, definitely.